I think the first part of the question was it a difficult process for Cody emotionally to participate in the film, or a helpful one? Helpful. I think it was a helpful process for her and for her family. Cody was really on board with making the film really after I met with her and her husband for the first time and just talked to them about what I was working on. I'd been filming for 2 years before I met them, so I had a pretty good sense of what the film was like, going to be like. And so she was very much on board with it. Not, I think, so much for political reasons, but really because I think that she felt that she understood kind of the meaning of her own life and what comfort she might be able to provide to others who would see her story. Towards the end of Cody's life, she became pretty involved or found a lot of comfort in these kind of internet forums where people who have terminal cancer could go and communicate with one another. And that was really, really one of the most comforting kind of therapies for her, was these relationships she built online. And I think that she saw the film potentially as a vehicle that, through her own story, others who were facing a similar diagnosis and who didn't necessarily, live in Oregon or want that option, would be able to take comfort in. So I think that was her inspiration for it. And I think in terms of her process in the film, I think she really did feel, she told me this, that she felt that our filming and our interviews in particular were very therapeutic for her, and her kids and Stan, even though they were very reluctant to participate in the film initially, ultimately found our interviews really therapeutic. They actually called them free therapy. So it's been a good process in the making of the film for them. And then afterwards, I think the film has been very meaningful for them in their kind of grieving process, and also a way for them to continue to not just relive what happened, but really make sense of it and how they move on from that. One of the things the family always talked about was the circle unbroken, and actually Cody's daughter Jill sang a version of what she actually called it, "May the Circle Be Unbroken" at Cody's memorial. And so I think they kind of see the film as continuing that circle and as a way to continue Cody's story and bring it to other people. So I think it was ultimately a beneficial thing for the family. The question was, am I more concerned with the philosophical or the legal impact of the film? Well, what inspired, I guess I would just start with, what inspired me to make the film was I really felt that strongly that the personal stories of people going through this process, wrestling with this decision, was the most important story to be told, that it hadn't really been told, that the sort of philosophical or theoretical realm had been explored very well when Oregon was debating this law, and in many, this is a perennial issue around the world, and it's been explored very, very well in, let's say, more theoretical, philosophical, legal manner, through talking heads, if you will. What I felt there was really a lack was in this kind of more direct personal experience. And so that's what inspired me to make the film, and that's what I was most focused on, was telling that story. And that informed, everything you see in the film, and the way that those other philosophical, ethical issues are explored are always through, an individual story. So like Randy Stroop's story, for example, it's important for me to include, where I could, the other side, if you will, but always in the context of the narrative. So Randy's story offered that. Nancy campaigning in Washington offered a way to also include some of these counter-arguments. Certainly they are not half of the film, and that really has to do with what this is the story that I was focused on telling. But I think even in Cody's story, you see that this was not an easy decision. It wasn't an easy choice. It was something she really wrestled with internally within her family, and also within her family. So, and then you see kind of the larger, potential societal implications of this law, in like Randy's story and other places. Yeah, the question was, did I feel after 2 years of filming that I still needed a main character? I was actually, at the end of that 2 years, very, very close to stopping filming. And I think that there would have been a film there, but it would have been kind of more of a multi-plot story of a number of individuals who I'd filmed. But the big missing piece for me, even in those stories, was the fact that there was not a doctor included. None of the other individuals who I filmed with had a doctor who was willing to participate in the film. So when I met Cody, first of all, it was very clear that her story was very unique because she was so young. She had these two children that would present you know, it would kind of bring out certain issues and questions that, you know, that weren't being brought out in the other stories. And then most critically, her doctor eventually agreed to participate in the film. So that's kind of what led me to continue filming with her. And I'm sorry, I forgot the other part of your question. Oh yeah, so you see, the question was how I became introduced to all the people. In the very beginning of the film, you see compassionate choices noted, and in my preliminary research of the film, I discovered that this organization has some contact with the vast majority of people in Oregon who use the law. And typically when there is journalistic coverage done of this law, that organization is contacted, and basically people ask, you know, well, would you introduce, you know, me to someone who's considering this, who would be willing to be interviewed? So I basically contacted them, said I was interested in making this independent documentary about just what you see in the film, and would they be willing to make these introductions to people who are considering this and who would be willing to be filmed. And so that's basically how the initial introduction would happen, and then I would kind of continue this relationship with the person. And sometimes, you know, that filming meant a single interview, or it meant something much longer. In, you know, the case of Cody, it was 10 months. Oh, thank you very much. So the film's going to play some festivals around the country, and then it'll be on HBO May 26th. And then it'll play on HBO for 2 years. So. Yeah, the question was about the inclusion of statistics and that it was fairly minimal. And there are a lot of statistics, of course, and I really tried to include in the opening of the film just enough to give enough context for the story you're about to see, but really keep it focused, again, on that direct kind of personal, on the ground, if you will, human experience of the law, and not put it more in the kind of theoretical documentary realm, if you will. So I tried to, you know, include just enough to provide that context so that the rest of the story would make sense, and a viewer wouldn't be constantly asking too many questions, you know, that weren't maybe potentially answered in the film. But again, you know, just enough to kind of give it that context. But yeah, there are many, many other statistics about Oregon's law and these laws in general.
And if y'all have any more questions, feel free to ask them out front. We'll be answering all those other questions that weren't able to be asked. Thank y'all. Have a great afternoon.